Hey folks, this is me, Vishwas Nayan. I'm the host of this podcast. And a lot of times, we always have this one question like, can a researcher fit inside a full time industry production problem statement? Or is it all about that bridge that we are going to connect? There's a lot of things that we just go through, right? Because deep learning was a buzzword, but today it's a necessity and it's the need of that any problem statement requires today. A lot of times, there is a dilemma in that, but we as a person working in the industry need to evolve, and I think probably Madhushree ma'am is just going to give you that insight because she has been through the researching. She has been through a lot in terms of research. She's been through the problem statement in the industry as well, so that insight probably is just going to give you that motivation. Okay, fine, we do have a chance in the industry, we too can build a lot of impact in the industry as well. And thank you so much, Madhushree ma'am, for giving this podcast. Means a lot.
Thank you, Vishwas. Thank you for having me here after a long wait. We are finally recording this. Yeah, I'm excited to be here in your podcast.
Sure. Like, I just wanted to know your journey as a student, and now you have been through the phase in which you were a student, you were a teacher, and now you're a professional. So, how is this journey all about? Like, how can you define it in a full stack manner?
Yeah. So my student journey was around 10 years ago. My undergrads and post graduations I completed a long time ago compared to you guys. But that time I was very studious. That time, whatever was the latest technology, I was trying to catch up with it. I studied in a government college, and then I was really studious and I was doing all these things. Then I suddenly realized just studies, getting marks, reading through the books and all, that's not enough. You need to do something extra to be relevant in the industry or wherever you're going. Even if you're going to do masters or going to the industry, you need to do something extra to stand out in the crowd. So I started exploring the field of research, and I started exploring volunteering experiences or extracurricular activities. Everything I was involved into all of these things, and they shape my career, they shape my personality. Actually, those are your young years, right? So your mind is fresh, you are like a sponge that time. You absorb everything and you learn everything, and that will definitely help you in future. Never think of something is going to be waste. You do anything will be useful in some or the other way, right? So I was involved in many activities, but one thing that I was consistently doing was doing my graduation and post graduation was the research activity. So I was involved in research activities in my college, what was happening, and I was involved in paper writing. That time I was exposed to a lot of things, what is happening in research field. Many people did not even know what a paper is, but luckily my college gave me that exposure. Nowadays you people are aware of everything. That time, luckily that college gave me that exposure to the research field. I was involved in all these things. That really helped me, and that helped me choose my career path. I was very clear what I wanted to do after my graduation, even though I had uh, job offers in hand through campus placements. I chose to do MTech in the same college. I continued. And even after MTech, I was clear because I come from a family of teachers. So my choice was clear. I want to become a teacher. So since I was in engineering field, I became an engineering college professor. I worked as an assistant professor for 2 years. While doing these things, I realized PhD is something that I wanted to do always, because you change completely once you complete your PhD. I didn't know that this is going to change my life before I start my PhD. All I knew was I want to do PhD. I want to do research in one particular domain in a deeper manner, because as an undergraduate postgraduate student, you won't know exactly how deeper you can go as a topic. Only when you choose it as a PhD thesis topic, you will understand the problems associated with it and how you can solve about it. All these things, these things were there in my, I think, since the beginning. There was always an inclination for research So I just chose to do my research in PhD, and during the PhD journey, while I was trying to solve a real-time problem, my field is artificial intelligence, and in that especially computer vision. Okay, so while solving a particular problem, I realized in academics, what we were doing is we were doing a very good research. There are many academicians doing great research, but not all of them are getting converted into products, or people are not using it. I solved a problem, I developed a product, and I completed a software, but who will be using it? So that satisfaction when that you get when you see your research work becoming a product, somebody is using it, that's very important, right? That's very satisfying to see. So I just thought, let me contribute to the real world projects. That's when I thought, let me shift my career path and then move towards the industry. And luckily I found the jobs also in that line, and now I'm working on some projects which are involving artificial intelligence, and we are going to build those products and use it in the company. So that is my journey actually. As you see, research has been a part of my journey. Even now in the industry, I am hired for this research experience that I have, because people in the industry also need that research. It might be a different type of research, but research is what is the summary of my student life.
Yeah, that's how industry brings you back, right? Once you are good
Right.
in research, once you are chiseled up to be disciplined to solve a problem, that's how they bring you back. Like they say that, what, you're good at to solve a problem statement. Here, come here, solve it. So,
Yeah.
like, of course, your most of the journey, it's all covered with research, right? It's more of a research. It's all about conveying right things through
Right.
words and also through products that you build. So now I wanted to understand, like, how has this software engineering as one aspect in a deep learning space evolved in the industry? Like, how have you seen that evolution? Because a lot of
Right.
times when we think of products which are coming up, it's fascinating, but every problem statement can't be solved just by one problem that is just being solved by some company. It's an integral part of it. So I wanted to know, how has software engineering in the deep learning space evolved?
Right. So initially, when I graduated, we didn't have the boom of that AI, deep learning, and all. No, I come from that background. When I was graduating, right? So people were hiring the developers and testers initially, right? And there were other job roles as well, but they were trying to build software applications, be it web applications or standalone applications, mobile applications, different type of application softwares, right? So mostly service companies were taking up those projects from the clients and then completing it, and they were hiring these engineering graduates in mass. Okay, so that was the trend when I graduated. I just didn't want to be that one in thousands who will just end up in some company doing some routine work. Okay, that is what was happening earlier. And there was one more interesting thing happening that time. Those who are very good at programming, right? They would become developers, software engineers. They were considered a little bit higher in the status. And then there were people who could not do the programming very well. They used to become testers. So there were two types of segregations happening. Over a period of time, slowly AI, machine learning, deep learning crept into the industry. Everybody wanted some machine learning to be added into their products, be it product-based company or service-based company, startups, anything, right? So this AI crept into the picture. After this, now in future, there won't be developers anymore, there won't be programmers anymore, AI is going to do it. So there is a shift in the job profiles that students are hired. During my journey of my student life, my teaching professional life, I have seen students where they are going to. And after that, now I am here in a company trying to develop a product which is completely based on deep learning and artificial intelligence. So for these things, job profiles have changed. Software engineering methods have to be changed. So mostly people adopted whatever model they adopted, waterfall or agile methodologies, whatever they adopted, right? Now they have to make room for AI into it. It's not so easy. Some companies are still struggling to do that, but some companies really adopted it very well to bring that structure into the AI project, because it's new thing, right? Companies who are working in software engineering domain already had to adopt to that new change. New technologies have been coming up every day. That's not a problem. But AI there's a domain shift. There's a as I say always, deep learning shifted the way we program, shifted everything. Earlier we were the ones who were writing the code. Now we make a neural network and train it with the data. The requirements have changed. So job profiles have changed. The software engineering methodologies have changed to accommodate the deep learning into it. And if I talk about the resources we had earlier, we had simple computing resources, it was enough. Now, because of the need for deep learning, we need to have parallel processing infrastructure. GPUs are must now. Now, cloud infrastructure has creeped in also, along with deep learning and IoT applications. And you need to be very quick in it. You can't take years to complete your project, right? So the methodologies have to be changed. The resource handling has to be changed. Everything has to change. And when I say deep learning has come into all these things, that's not the only thing we are doing, right? That's a small part of the entire software building process. All the other teams, the data engineering team, the UI development team, whatever, backend team, front-end team, every team has to collaborate with this AI machine learning team to collaborate with them. And then, so that's the main shift what I see from my perspective. I have not worked in the industry for a long time, but I have watched it closely, how it works. So in my perspective, the change happened is that AI. In future, every company will have to use AI, and everything around us will be driven by AI. Every application that you are using will be having AI in the backend. So it's going to be everything AI everywhere. One more thing, I told you one interesting thing. There were developers and testers earlier, right? So now, what's happening in future, what will happen? AI users or data labelers or AI creators. Those who are good at it will become the creators of AI. They'll be more relevant. If you're not good at AI handling or training a neural network model, you will end up become a data labeler. So that's why I always told my students, learn these concepts very well. Try to build your own projects so that you will understand the concept. By the time when you go to the industry, right, as a fresher also, so I don't want you to be just a data labeler, because there will be two set of people. One is the AI creators, second one is the end users. AI. You don't want to just become a user, right? After graduating from computer science department or information science department, I want all the students to be seen in the AI creators level. Also, I have been asked this question multiple times, mechanical students or civil engineering students. They ask me, how can we be relevant in this domain when AI is taking over everything? So you are not going to build a car anymore. A car will be built by an AI robot. Car will be designed by an AI robot. And even now autonomous cars are coming up, no more drivers also. Everything is changing, right? So to be relevant for those other non-circuit branches, I can say, so they have to be in the forefront to learn AI, to adopt it. they should be able to create those robots who are building cars, new machinery. To be relevant in the AI field, you better learn AI, and then there is a lot of scope in the industry. Industry needs people who are skilled in AI.
Sure.
I hope I answer your question of the change I saw. That's my perspective. It can change, but that's what I've been seeing this.
Yeah, that's how it is. It's all about like, where do you fit inside that entire production line, right? It's need not have to be, I can do DevOps, but I can't do Java development. It can be like, you can just go build a sustainable culture using the DevOps operations and the things like that. And you can just guide a Java developer that, you know what, this is what I'm doing right now, and just code me the best code right now. And that's how it is all about. So now, like, you have seen industry for quite a bit of time now. Like, you just shifted from the academic world to the industry right now. Like it's a whole new level shift. Like what we have, and as a shift left in the DevOps life cycle, it's exactly that. You wanted to go to the industry and you just came in. So now I wanted to know, what's that missing puzzle in architecting an AI solution today? Because we are still learning how to play with the trade-offs. Like something like, something as good as, should we scale the application, or should we just keep it to 100 users? Or is it something like, is machine learning model going to take more amount of compute, or is it going to be the front end that we are just hosting it on? Like, I just wanted to know, what's the missing puzzle in architecting an AI solution in the world today?
To build any AI system, you need, because these neural network models need a lot of labeled data to be trained. And the missing thing is, we have a lot of data which is unlabeled, raw data. Go to YouTube, you can download all the YouTube videos, most of them. Go to Wikipedia, you can download complete text data. Then how much of abundant, unlabeled or unstructured data available? If we can make use of it to build our models, that will be the great thing. Right now, I don't see that happening anymore. That's the reason, even in my PhD thesis, the problem I chose, I try to solve it in an unsupervised way. I hope you understand. Supervised means we need the labeled data. In an unsupervised way, we don't need the labeling for the data. If you just have the data, that is enough. So that is the missing part. Second thing, how do you integrate it with your existing software? That needs a lot of understanding. You need to create your services or APIs from the AI perspective, and then give it to the front-end developer and the back-end developer to integrate into the existing system. There are ways already, people are doing it already, but that has to be done in a structured manner. If you're using the Scrum for your software development, so how do you fit in that AI, which is a new thing, into your already existing process? That is the unique problem for every company. Every company has to solve it on their own when it comes to a particular product. One more thing, what I'm seeing is the missing thing here is, people just don't know when to use deep learning and when not to use deep learning. We are seeing this, articles or media is highlighting, right? So AI is going to take over the world. It's achieving the, better than human accuracy sometimes in natural language processing. If you take, they are building 1 trillion parametered model to understand the natural language that we speak, maybe English. So is it necessary for me to use that big model every time I build an NLP based system? Not possible, right? With the limited resources I have. So I need to scale down. I might have to go with the traditional machine learning approaches. If I have to solve a problem of classifying some text messages that I have, I want to classify them into 3 different groups. What will I do? Will I train a 1 trillion parameter model? No. So that decision taking is very important. Which type of model I should use? Whether it is really necessary to go with deep learning models or not, because deep learning models take a lot of storage resources, computing resources, and human resources also. So that niche, or when do you use deep learning and when you go with the traditional approach, is the call that every team has to take when they are building a product.
Let's just go on with personalization, because a lot of times we are talking about problem statement that is specific, and also we have a general intelligence that we are trying to build. Hopefully one day we build general intelligence. Of course, techniques like fusion is also coming up into the market. Like, nobody talked about fusion back when I joined engineering. There was no data fusion that was talked. 2017, nobody talked about it, and I was like, what is fusion, what is fusion? And everybody today, like, if you take medical image processing and things like that, it's all fusion at the end of the day. Self-driving car is fusion. So I wanted to talk about personalization, the design of AI based on a purpose, based on the data that has been collected, based on a business propagation. And of course, there are different things that pop up all of a sudden: model drift, data drift, and everything. So how is personalization architected today in AI system that we are trying to build, and also how are problem statements evolving in this space of deep learning?
Right. See, what I'm seeing now in the industry is they want to automate their processes. First thing, earlier, what we were doing before AI came into picture, whatever manually we were doing repeatedly, we were automating it. Now, what we are automating it, wherever humans are involved, to reduce that human resources involved in a particular process, we are trying to automate it with AI so that we can just eliminate it. Now, I'll take the example of a call center agent. If you want to have a virtual assistant who is driven by AI, is it enough to train that model just to answer the questions? That's not enough. What we are seeing right now is you go to any application, any website, they'll start a chat bot. You start asking questions, and there'll be some pre-set questions fed into the machine, and it will fetch the answer depending on that. And if you ask a different question which the machine has never seen, it is going to transfer it to the human agent, right? So that is where the problem is lying. We don't have the general intelligence in those machines. We have a specific intelligence. Take any problem statement, for example, we only are solving specific intelligence. The day we solve that problem with fusion or whatever new technology will come into picture in the future, if we are able to solve it, that is going to be disruptive. People are definitely working on it. A lot of research is happening on it. The people are talking about human and machine connected intelligence, right? And I even read an article about actual natural neural networks being trained to solve a problem like image classification. Why do you want artificial neural network? Train actual neural networks, because artificial neural networks were, kind of influenced, I can take the analogy, they were designed after actual neural networks, right? So why don't you train the actual neural networks so that will give you more intelligence, generic intelligence, that just the way we humans have. We never teach a child how to do only one thing, right? A child learns by observing its environment, multiple things. Even if you don't teach, sometimes child will observe and learn. How that is happening? Because of the actual neural network connections that are made in the baby's brain. So if you can solve that, that is going to be the disruptive technology. Everywhere it is required. Take it for, I was just taking the example of customer care, right? Now, huge human resources, go into that field, but we want to automate it because of the customer feedback also. How many times you end up waiting 10 or 15 minutes? You call up a bank, you will understand waiting time is more, right? Because of the user base is more here. So why don't you give very good user experience to your customers by incorporating very good intelligence into whatever you are offering them? Customer care is one example. The next thing is whatever application you're using, mobile phones, they're full of AI based applications nowadays. So if you have that generic intelligence into that place, you don't have to operate it one by one application by one application. You don't have to do it. Mostly these home assistants are in the path of achieving that, because you just say, Alexa, order my pizza. That's enough, right? But that we are still not yet reached that level of replacing that complete human involvement in, and then putting one robot or putting one machine to handle everything that you want. For example, if I go to a hospital, a robot should be able to take my input and guide me completely through the process, or give me the diagnosis and give me the medicines also in hand. So that's what we are expecting, right? In the general intelligence, that's very long journey to go. A few years ago, even I was really thinking, oh, AI might change everything. AI is going to be disruptive. It's going to be like a sci-fi movie. AI will start attacking. World wars will happen with AI. All those things was it was going on in our mind, right? But we are not still there. Some companies and some research groups are on the way to do that, but still, especially in a country like India, with diversity, with the diversity of problems, diversity of languages, everything coming into picture, we still have a long way to go there. And that is the ultimate goal of anybody, right? Any company. Since that can be done in one way, you mentioned is fusion. Second thing, don't worry about aggregating everything. Don't worry about completely building a generic intelligent machine. Just start solving the individual problems individually however you can. For example, I can solve the customer case service problem, and I can solve the OCR problem. I can solve chatbot, create everything, and in future we can club all of them together however it is possible. But future is going to be the artificial generic intelligence, as we say. We need to do something in a disruptive way so that it all will come together. People are already doing it. I think, some companies are coming up with complete robots like elderly care. You deploy a robot there. So because elderly people need that overall care system, right? So the robot will do everything, cleaning the house to offering them the food and medicine on time. That is there. But emotions, you can't build it, put it into those machines. The sentiments that we have, you can't still get it. Maybe natural neural networks will help in that manner. I'm not sure what is going to happen. I'm really eagerly waiting for the future to happen, because my generation, 90s born, we have seen no AI phase, and in future, this generic AI taking over all over the places. We are going to see that. In future, maybe 1/3 of our job profiles that we have will be gone, and there'll be new job profiles for you. Maybe when you graduate and get into the industry, you will find so many new profiles, right? Job profiles available. So it's changing everything. So AGI is the future. I still don't know how it is going to be solved, how people are going to do it, but it's going to happen. I strongly believe it will happen.
Yeah, I believe that, there is a part of AI that we need to unlearn for a while. And there's a part of AI that we need to relearn again. Because a lot of times when I think activation functions, probably it didn't exist 2015. Like before 2015, it was not existing. Then later after 2015, there was a new trend. Okay, fine. Then what? Transformers came in. Then what? Like if I see how we are having an idea of training something on a GPU, it's because of Alex net paper, because that came in 2012. That solved ImageNet problem. Like this is how it is, right? This is how we are architecting towards it, and a lot of things that we need to work towards. So what is the industry trend that shattered the way we are architecting the deep learning technology now, according to you? Because a lot of times when we think about what really led to the boom of this technology, we think something like, what Jeffrey Hinton was leading the team in the Google, what everybody thought money is going to be in this field. Okay, fine, to some extent. But some people really came out with amazing problem statement like LeanIt. Jan LeeKan came out with the LeanIt, and that was used in a production system to some extent, like for the check, MICR and everything, that reading part, everything was being sorted. So that's how industry evolved, according to me. So according to you, what really led to the fascination about this entire field that we are going through? Like everywhere, people want to architect something with AI in their product. That's how it is. So what really led to that boom in the industry? Like why people went behind this technology? And I wanted to also ask you, like, what are the undefined potentials of an AI that is still not yet being taught to the world today? Because of course we are academicians. We just write a paper there, somebody sees it, somebody wants to code it, and that's how it is, right? So I wanted to know about all these things, that what is about the trend of it, and what are some of the unknown facts that an AI can be capable of tomorrow?
Sure. A few decades ago, neural networks were born and nobody liked it. Nobody incorporated into their field, right? The moment they saw the results of being better than whatever they expected, right? Uh, Better than human level accuracy, that's when everybody wanted it. So I heard of this application. This application will take the input of symptoms of a disease from a person, and it will give the diagnosis what might be the disease. It achieved around 65% of accuracy. Sorry, 75% of accuracy. What is human level of accuracy? It's going to be 65% with the well-trained doctors. It is still better than the well-trained doctors, but still we can't trust this machine, right? But the thought or the imagine, what if those machines are implanted everywhere in all the rural areas also? You can solve bigger problems, right? So what I'm trying to say is the results. That is what people were fascinated by. ImageNet was running from so many years, but only in 2012, when somebody showed this can be done with neural networks, AlexNet, exactly, AlexNet won that competition, right? That is when people started looking at this domain. That's when the boom started. Even though it existed and some people were working on it, everything was there, but the results were the real things which are driving this boom that we see. And the second question that you asked me, what is the potential? We need to solve people's problem. India, if you look at the India perspective, healthcare is the main thing that we need to transform today. That's the need of the day. Healthcare, education. Now, the basic facilities that everybody has to get, we're not getting it in our rural areas. Why don't we use AI to solve those problems? Forget about the future technologies AI has. With existing resources, existing technologies, you can implement few things in India right now. Just one example, TB is very common disease in India. It is curable if it is detected in early stages. Why is it going undetected? Because we don't have many people, we don't have the resources, we don't have laboratories, we don't have radiologists to read those x-rays and then detect whether it's TB or not. By the time a patient gets to know there is TB, it's too late. So that is why we are losing lives. Why don't we forget about the future AI holds? Just with what AI can solve right now, it can easily detect TB from an X-ray. Why don't we implement it in all the places where there is a need? So to improve the lives of people, we should develop AI-based applications. I think Indian government is definitely working towards it. They've invested a lot in the research and application development in this regard. I think it will happen in some time, but I want to see that very soon, happening really soon, so that we can solve multiple problems.
Yeah, and also that human greed will always be there, right? You know what? Can this model also detect that? That's the challenge that we have today. Like we will obviously be architecting for something futuristic, but
Yeah.
present problem statement still prevails to some extent. Yeah, I
True.
think thank you so much. We skipped some of the questions to the viewers who are just seeing this, but because she covered most of the questions, by the way, it's more towards my questions were more towards the problem statement because she has been in academic world as well as the industry right now. So that's what my questions were. I think she has answered all the questions, and thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this podcast. Means a lot, and I think people will enjoy it for sure.
Thank you so much, Vishwas. I had a nice time talking to you about all these things. Otherwise, I would never speak all these things in public, right? So thank you for the opportunity. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.